What's going on, everybody? Simple back at it like I'm checking my height. Today we have Nick Crowley's YouTube's Darkest Channels #2. Shout out to Nick for allowing me to use his content. Seriously, I appreciate it, man. If you guys enjoy these, make sure you head on over to his channel. Make sure you guys go show him some love. That way you can see the full video without my reaction on top of it. This one is definitely going to be a little bit long, and for all of those who aren't into this stuff, this one is definitely going to be pretty freaking creepy. So if you don't like this weird stuff, I won't, it won't bother me if you guys click off now. But for those who are into it, make sure you guys put on your seatbelts. If you guys want to get your requests up here as well, Google Forms down in the description. And definitely come and check us out on the Creator Consortium. Discord link is in the description as well. Let's go. Ooh.
If you're having a little trouble with the picture on the TV now, maybe you just need to adjust the tracking on your VCR.
Oh, I remember that one.
We've been here before. The dark side of YouTube.
Now, I just want to say real quick, I know we're only 33 seconds in. It's just something that popped into my mind when he started talking is there's a lot of people that do these like monologue type of things where they just talk and show a bunch of video clips. Honestly, in my opinion, he is one of the people that I can listen to for long periods of time. Like, I could put his videos on in the background and work to them type of thing and just listen to him talk. Like, there's a lot of people out there whose voices have the weird inflections and stuff like that. I really appreciate this one, though.
A home to the disturbed and the tragic that goes well beyond just what we see on our screens.
Police are investigating a deadly shooting.
A side that shows us just how twisted humanity can really be. A side reserved by YouTube's darkest channels.
Yeah.
Before we begin,
if you guys don't know, I have one video called the Sylvia Files up on the channel now. You guys can go and check that one out. And I also have this really creepy reading of a 1924 version of Grimm Fairy Tales. So definitely make sure you guys check that out if that is up your alley as well.
Video was sponsored by Surfshark VPN.
Surfshark VPN. Shout out to the sponsors.
Nick Crowley. Thank you again to Surfshark.
All right, here we go. That train is creepy just by itself.
It doesn't look like
Thomas
much.
the Train.
In fact, the footage we're watching seems nothing shy of normal. A family spending the day out, getting to see Thomas the Tank. It was all smiles and all laughter. On screen, we see the youngest member of the family, Ainsley Stapleton, and her older brother, McEwen. Behind the camera was their father, Matt. And here we see Kelly Stapleton and her daughter, Isabel, or Izzy for short. The video highlighted the family of 5 having one of their many fun days out of the house, with a video being posted to YouTube under the title, Stapleton's Day Out with Thomas. This clip went live all the way back in May of 2008, and would be the first of many videos posted to Kelly Stapleton's YouTube channel. And for the first 2 years of this channel's existence, many videos followed the same mold, crudely edited clips showing the Stapleton family's wholesome moments. It's clear from these videos that the Stapleton family was a unit.
Now, this is something that YouTube was kind of like created on. It was a place for people to put like their memories and stuff like that so they could connect with other people that didn't live as close, where it wasn't as easy to share pictures and things like that. You could at least post home videos, and that way Grandma out in Timbuktu could at least see what you guys are doing.
Even at times performing
this
songs
is definitely a very
as
normal
group together.
Normal thing.
And in many ways, they all seemed
and that's what makes
like
it so
the
creepy
perfect
sometimes.
family. And it's likely that no one could have guessed the disturbing future that they were headed for. As 2010 came around, Kelly seemed to be growing less and less interested in sharing these family clips to YouTube. And by mid-July, the final video was posted before the channel appeared to be dropped for good. In the description, Kelly writes, Mom and autistic daughter finally danced together. This dance project was years in the making. The video shows the heartwarming moments of Kelly and Izzy dancing together on stage. This also served as the first confirmation throughout the channel that the Stapleton's daughter Izzy had autism, a fact that will prove crucial as the story continues. With that upload, Kelly Stapleton's channel fell dormant, and the small channel filled with precious family memories faded into oblivion. However, this wouldn't end up being the last time Kelly would post on YouTube, as after a 3-year-long break, the family would come back with a new string of videos. Videos that were a far cry from the wholesome content they had previously posted. On February 5th, 2013, Kelly would upload a 28-second long clip entitled Typical Day, and fair warning, it's disturbing. This video came as an absolute shock compared to the channel's previous content, as it seemed to show some kind of very real physical altercation, with Kelly
Now, my
clarifying
question
in the description.
always becomes like, why do people post this stuff on YouTube? Why not just bring this to someone that could actually get you the help?
What
Maybe
was
there wasn't
supposedly
anybody helping, though.
happening here. Kelly writes, "My autistic daughter is aggressive. She was agitated and pulled my hair, then hit me several times. I was in the process of calling my husband for help when I must have hit the record button. This video is what happened next."
Yeah,
And
but
though
then you
this
uploaded
video
it to
shows us a
YouTube, though.
glimpse at how bad things had gotten, it was Kelly's blog that had all the details. In it, she
Okay.
shares how Izzy had become physically abusive to members of the family, but especially with her, with Kelly even sharing pictures from the hospital where she had to go thanks to one of Izzy's outbursts. And according to Kelly, she was only getting more violent. This was highlighted in the next video uploaded to the channel.
So this is her in behavioral therapy? Oh, man.
Again, this clip shows Izzy acting violently, this time with staff at her residential
Who's
facility.
the woman standing in the... Oh, that must be her
Around
mom
the time
just
of
standing
these
there crying.
posts, a news program was actually made on the family story, shedding even more light on their upsetting situation. The story tells of how Izzy had been placed in a special home where she was receiving treatment, and there she had also been having these violent outbursts. It was clear that she needed more time and more treatment there, or perhaps a new form of treatment altogether. But ultimately, Kelly and Matt had ran out of money, and Izzy moved back home.
She's gonna come home, and this is not gonna be pretty.
Well, you said to me she's gonna kill you.
She will.
You feel that way?
Yes.
It's a very sad and twisted
That is
situation. A mom afraid of her own daughter. And it's made worse by the fact that this wasn't really Izzy's fault. She was a victim of her own mind, and she needed better treatment to aid with her violent outbursts. During Izzy's time at home, Kelly would make 2 more videos with her, with the final being titled Nightly Prayers, a video that featured no description and no comments.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen. Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love entrust me here. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen.
The video shows the mother and daughter praying together, and at a glance, it seemed like maybe Izzy's treatment was starting to work. But strangely enough, this would be the final post ever made to the channel. And in the past 7 years, there's been no activity from the account, effectively marking the end of the Kelly
That is
Stapleton
strange.
channel.
Maybe you should just
It
stop
was also
documenting
around
it.
this time that Kelly's blog became virtually inactive. So what ended up happening to the Stapleton family? And why did Kelly stop posting to her blog and to her channel? Well, surprisingly, it was all thanks to a camping trip.
1, 2, 3. When you go camping, what do you have to do? You have to fetch some
I love the
firewood.
B-roll stuff that he picks too.
It happened on September 3rd, 2013.
Awesome B-roll cuts.
Kelly approached Izzy and asked her to go on a mother-daughter camping trip. Izzy agreed, as Kelly had promised she could have as many s'mores as she wanted, which happened to be her favorite snack. So they drove out to a rural spot in Kenzie County, Michigan, and parked their van. There they sat by the fire as Izzy made s'more after s'more, something that I imagine must have made her incredibly happy. After some time,
no.
Izzy had got back in the
only
van and sat
imagine.
in the front seat, as her mom packed up their equipment in the back. In the trunk of the vehicle were 2 charcoal stoves that Kelly had brought for their night, so she grabbed them both and set them up in the back seat. She filled them with charcoal and one by one lit them up.
Oh my god.
Kelly got back in the vehicle and sat in the driver's seat next to Izzy, and as the smoke began to fill the car, she rolled up the windows and locked the doors. Izzy likely had no idea that this was never planned to be a night of camping. It was a planned murder-suicide.
That's
a plan
horrible.
hatched by her own mother. It seems that Kelly believed her daughter could no longer be helped, and she was tired of caring for her, and her plan was for the carbon monoxide to kill them both in the van, so that neither of them had to deal with this anymore. And so they sat there and they waited, as the poisonous gas slowly pushed them closer and closer to death. Kelly would send one final text to Matt before the two drifted off.
When the work is over and the stars are shining bright, it's time to go to bed. It's time to say goodbye.
What a B-roll cut. I love it.
How could it go from this to murder-suicide? Upon receiving the first text, Matt immediately notified authorities, and the van would be found hours later. And by some miracle, Kelly and Izzy were both still breathing. It wouldn't take long for Kelly to completely recover, with cops waiting to arrest her as soon as she was discharged. But Izzy wasn't so
That woman
lucky.
looked tired.
The fumes had made her fall into a coma, but luckily, after 3 long days, she became responsive, suffering only minor long-term brain injuries. Today, Kelly is still serving time in prison, and Izzy has continued receiving treatment. And one of the most shocking parts of the aftermath to me was the public's response to Kelly. The comments on our videos are filled with overwhelming support for those who agreed with her decision to try.
Now, I want to point out, I definitely do not agree with her decision. Sometimes things are placed in your path that you have to deal with. You don't have a choice. I could never do this to one of my children. That would be... I want to use the word disgusting, but I mean, I guess I just will. You know, it comes to a point where there's a line and this woman crossed it. You know what I mean? Regardless of the situation that was happening, there's always other ways that you can figure stuff out. And, you know, even though she may have tried a little bit, I don't think she went to the length that she probably could have to do what she needed or get the help that she actually needed. And it goes back to, like, the people in these industries around us that don't really offer much help either. They see something like this and they go, well, we can't fix it. And that doesn't really help either. So it's kind of a breakdown of the whole system around this poor young autistic girl who doesn't have the ability to distinguish sometimes between, you know, right and wrong, or lashing out and things like that. This is really sad.
and kill her own daughter, with one user saying, "I agree 100%, I would put that animal up, and you did absolutely everything possible. You should be proud of all you tried."
Now, I want to point out that the people that write these comments most of the time have morbid names. I mean, Madam Morticia.
To do for Izzy and all you accomplished. I, for one, support
Those are some channels that
you
should
and
probably be looked into
understand
as
why
well.
you did what you did. It's all very disturbing, and though the family was in a tough spot, they could have turned to foster care, group homes, new medication, or even just a new treatment plan.
Yep.
As in the
Absolutely.
time following
I
the
absolutely
event,
agree.
the family has been highly criticized for using a treatment plan that is known to cause agitation and anger. There was a lot more
There's that
that could
system
have been
breakdown.
done, rather than murder your own child and
Yep.
rob her of the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Kelly Stapleton's channel will forever serve as proof that there's more than what meets the eye. The family seemed perfect, but in reality, they were more troubled than most. This is a theme that I've seen throughout YouTube. Channels who attempt to follow this mold. They make themselves look loving, caring, and perfect to cover up their true darkness. And typically,
There are a lot of those animal abuse channels out there on YouTube, and I've been seeing some coverage videos on those popping up recently as well. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely let me know. They'll probably be coming either way.
and perfect to cover up
This is the
their
type of
true
stuff that we should be
darkness.
spotlighting,
And
and it's
typically,
not to bring attention to the person, but it's to bring the correct attention to the problem.
you can find these channels leached onto the most wholesome of genres, so that no one would suspect them, with family channels being the latest rabbit hole that I've fallen down. And though a channel such as Daddy05 may have been talked to death and listed as public enemy #1, there is surprisingly a
never
lesser
heard of
known
that channel.
channel, one that was much, much worse. Back in June of 2012, the first video was posted to the Fantastic Adventures channel, a channel that would feature a variety of kids-friendly content, mostly in the form of skits. The channel featured 7 children, all between the ages of 6 to 15, and behind the scenes it was run by their adopted mother, Michelle Hobson, who would orchestrate the skits, the editing, and the
Alright, so
posting
obviously
of the
there's something
actual
messed up with this
videos,
woman.
along with her 2 older biological sons who also helped out. And when you see the content, it seems so similar to what so many others are doing nowadays. A family making goofy, lighthearted skits made for children. And much like many channels in this genre, it pulled an incredible amount of views. Throughout its lifespan, the channel gained over 800,000 subscribers and a staggering 250 million views. Young kids
Jesus.
were absolutely loving this content, and parents likely viewed it as a wholesome family-run account. However, what many didn't know was that behind the scenes, a storm was brewing. It's now come forward that for years, neighbors were suspicious of the activities taking place in the house. It's unclear what exactly they had seen or heard, but we know that people in the neighborhood had reported Michelle to the Department of Child Safety 15 separate times.
Jesus.
That alone is a major indication that something wasn't quite right with
Yeah,
the family-run channel.
You could say
But
that.
ultimately, the reports
You'd wonder when they
didn't
start
lead
looking
to
into stuff
anything,
like that.
and the family continued operating their page.
Apparently they don't.
Which meant more money going straight to Michelle's pockets, with the channel's revenue being as high as $3 million per year. Things were looking great for the channel, as the family was nothing shy of a success story. A story that in March of 2019 revealed its biggest plot twist. It was around this time that Michelle's biological daughter, Megan, had noticed some concerning signs with the kids. Megan was no longer living with her mother when they operated the channel, but she would often visit and occasionally even appear in the family sketches. And on these visits, she started to realize that many of the children showed signs of abuse, And so, concerned for her adopted siblings, Megan decided to call authorities and report the potential abuse. And it's a good thing she did. Police would end up making a welfare check at the house that revealed the shocking abuse the children were being put through. The welfare check showed that the kids had been forced into making these YouTube videos, to the point where Michelle had actually pulled the majority of them out of school so that they would have more time to create content.
That's
If
crazy.
one of the kids refused to participate, they would be beaten with belts
Oh
and
my
coat
God.
hangers, and even Michelle's own fists. The same would be done to the kids if they stuttered or messed up one of their lines. It's absolutely appalling. And the fact that each of these children were adopted makes one question if this channel was her motive for adopting so many kids, so that she could use them to create content. But the abuse is far worse than just what I've told you. When police entered the home, they found each of the children to be extremely malnourished, being starved and dehydrated. One kid was also found trapped inside of a dark closet with a diaper on, which was supposedly one of their usual punishments. In Michelle's room, there was a closet that had a deadbolt lock on the outside. The children would be put inside of there
Absolute
and
disgusting
locked in
behavior.
the darkness for days,
Like, what a shitty
without
parent.
food, water, or even a place to use the bathroom. They would either have to go in diapers or on the floor. And all this was done if they were reluctant in any part of the filming process. And the punishments continue. They would also be forced into taking ice baths, and if they tried to get out, Michelle would hold their heads underwater for extended periods of time, nearly to the point of drowning these kids. A few of the boys had also told police that Michelle had forcefully grabbed them by their private parts and pinched them so hard to the point that they'd bleed. It's absolutely horrendous to imagine, and it's not even the worst punishment they'd face. Michelle also kept multiple cans of pepper spray in the house, and when the children would misbehave, she would spray them. And not just a little bit, she would cover their entire body from head to toe, with one of the adopted daughters reporting that Michelle had even sprayed her inside of her private area, which put her in extreme pain for days. It's unimaginable, and all this abuse was orchestrated by Michelle to virtually make her...
See, this is when people should get, like, life in prison. Like, there shouldn't be an escape for you. You shouldn't be able to get back, let into society. There is no rehabilitation. Like, you are a disturbing, disgusting person at this point.
adopted children slaves to work on this YouTube channel and make her millions. This revelation instantly made this channel one of the darkest on the platform, with it being so twisted that YouTube ended up terminating it not long
Thank
after
God.
the news had broken. If only they took that kind of action with some other accounts. But to add to this morbid story, Michelle
they don't have
would
enough
never
attention
end up
yet.
serving a prison sentence.
That's the problem.
Good evening and thanks for joining us.
Not
We're
enough
starting
people
with breaking
reporting it.
news. Michelle Hobson, the Maricopa woman accused of abusing her adopted kids and
Not
forcing
competent.
them to perform on YouTube
Look at it.
videos.
Look at this. Like, I love when people do this, right? They come into court after knowingly, willingly abusing their children or doing some other stupid thing, and they're like, I'm not competent to stand trial. I'm too stupid. Like, what a cop-out to your own self. Like, that...
Died earlier
It's sad.
today.
Hobson has
It's so
been sick for a
sad.
while. She suffered a brain injury while in custody months ago and had
Oh, okay.
missed several court dates.
She ended up passing away in November of that year,
Good.
before she could ever face any real consequence.
Good.
In a story so dark and twisted,
Probably the
Michelle's
best thing.
biological daughter,
Because honestly,
Megan,
anybody
was
getting
the
paid
true
for her
hero.
ass sitting in
She
jail,
ended up adopting 2 of the kids, with the others
people
being
making money
placed
on
in
stuff like
foster
that just
care.
disturbs the hell
And
out of me.
without her, this abuse would likely still be happening, because no one would know. It's a
shout out-
shame that
shout out to the
Michelle's
sister.
twisted truths didn't come out any sooner, as they remained hidden in the shadows for years. But this isn't always the case. Some channels will do their best to try and hide their dark backstories, but their attempts don't even last a day, with people immediately questioning their legitimacy. But as we'll see from our final channel, even then, it's oftentimes too late. Which brings us to our final story, the story of Russian pop singer Zelim Bakaev. Born in Chechnya, Bakaev grew up with a passion for singing, and those around him knew that he had the voice to make it big. And by 2017, he had already managed to make quite a name for himself in the Russian music scene, scoring a number of hit songs. And all this was accomplished at the age of just 25, making it clear that he had an incredibly promising future ahead. A future that would take a sudden and mysterious detour in August of that year. On the 6th of August, Bakaev had flown into Grozny to attend his sister's wedding. The special moment was a break in the never-ending grind to make it as a famous singer. But despite the time off, he would soon have to leave for Moscow to attend a talent competition. He would never make it there. Because on the 8th of August, Bakaev went out to explore Grozny after the wedding and never came back, with his phone being shut off and all of his social media accounts being deactivated. Bakaev was at the peak of his career. He was living the life he had always dreamed of, and he just disappeared without a trace or an explanation. Did he run away and start a new life, or was he taken? Nobody knew, as the case became a widespread mystery throughout the region, and it wouldn't go without answers for long, as a break would quickly come in the form of 2 eyewitnesses who had claimed to have seen exactly what happened to Bakaev. On the evening of August 8th, 2017, 2 bystanders had witnessed the singer acting in a calm and casual manner. As the bystanders watched, they would witness Bakaev as he was approached by SOBR security forces, a rapid reaction military group, a group that typically handles terrorist threats and other major cases like that.
Interesting.
The witnesses claim that after being confronted by the group, Bakaev was then placed in handcuffs, put in the vehicle, and driven off, never to be seen again. A seemingly normal-looking singer being detained by a military group. It just didn't make any sense. What kind of risk could this young man have posed?
Very often strange about that,
even more
for sure.
strangely, in the days following the alleged arrest, the Chechen government denied these reports and stated that Bakaev had not actually been arrested. All this despite the fact that the eyewitnesses were proven to be credible. So what's with the secrecy, and where did Bakaev end up? Well, as it turns out, the young pop singer may have found himself in a concentration camp. It's a shocking idea, and without context, it certainly sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But it might actually make sense.
How,
At the time of his disappearance, it was said that a shockingly high number of gay men had mysteriously vanished from the region, with many of their whereabouts still being unknown. Because of this, there were rumors floating around Chechnya that gay men in the country were being secretly abducted and held at concentration camps in the area, camps where the victims would be tortured in an attempt to either kill them or turn them straight.
That's
and
insanity.
As strange as this all sounds, it's actually true.
That's insanity.
We turn now to a story causing global outrage out of the Russian Republic.
Yeah, that's
Chechnya.
insanity.
A coordinated government campaign to round up and eliminate gay men. He says he was detained for more than a week, then starved and brutally tortured.
It's said that there are frequent purges in the area to rid Chechnya of homosexuality, where victims are abducted by government-led groups and brought to these camps. Those who are sent there are not only tortured, but oftentimes forced into straight marriages, or even into killing themselves. Now, on a few occasions, it's also said that a few of the victims are sent home to their families, which should be a good thing. Well, apparently not, as they are only sent home on the condition that their own families kill them. It's a disturbing and twisted thing that is likely happening right now as we speak, with practically no news coverage here in the US. And truthfully, this whole situation
why is
would
there no
warrant
news
its own
coverage
video,
here?
so I won't go that far into detail.
That's
But nonetheless,
insanity.
These purges are really happening, and as you might have guessed, Bakaev was openly gay himself, and he had found himself in Chechnya during the peak of one of these purges.
Oh, man.
He was also extremely recognizable given his star status, making him an easy target for the military group to abduct. With many assuming this to be the reason for Bakaev's disappearance, it seemed likely that he was killed in one of these camps, as it's said that many people who go there don't make it out.
And not to mention, I'm sure the Russian government wouldn't want people to know about this stuff happening, especially from someone who is so prominent.
Now, though this story is incredibly dark, you may be wondering, what does this have to do with YouTube? As after all, the singer didn't even have his own channel. Well, this would all change on September 24th of 2017, when Bakaev would show the world that he wasn't actually missing, and that he apparently wasn't trapped in an anti-gay concentration camp either. On that day, Bakaev would upload a video to a brand new YouTube channel, supposedly showing that he was doing well and that he was now living in Germany.
Салам алейкум, Ислам. Русь, подержи-ка. Вот так вот. Не закрывай камеру.
He explains how he gave up his life as a singer and had taken up a simpler, more stress-free life. The channel itself consists of just 2 uploads, both coming on the same day, and showing the now former singer dancing and laughing and just appearing to have a good time. It was great news. He seems happy.
Yeah,
and
that
it
seems
proves
staged.
that he was alive.
Look at the
and
room.
not
Look at the room. Alright, first of all, who puts flowers on a frickin' speaker, on a bass speaker, right? Okay? There's literally nothing on that shelf. It literally looks like somebody just brought that television in, put a DVD player up on top. It doesn't even look like the wires are plugged in. Like, everything this man owns is on one side of the room. Very strange.
Actually in danger. And at least the clips would provide some closure for his family
very strange.
and stop the spread of this rumor. However, as I mentioned previously, it's easy to hide behind a screen and make everything seem perfect. But there's always those who can see right through it. Immediately upon the video's release, loved ones of Bakaev claimed that he had been acting completely out of character in these videos. In many instances, his speech and his movements feel strained.
Все такие есть спокойные. Напрягаться абсолютно не надо.
And there are quite a few examples of seemingly fake laughter.
Короче, все в наших руках. Так что Ислам обязательно приезжай.
And by the second video, he even starts dancing, but you can tell that he seems to be slightly uncomfortable by doing so. Also, there are moments where Bakaev is clearly reading off of a script, an idea that could explain his strange behavior. The way Bakaev was acting was suspicious, and it wasn't just his behavior, it was also what he was saying. At one point, he says something that translates to, "It's kind of the middle of August. I go to Germany. Everything is in our hands." But in actuality, the video was posted at the end of September, a long ways off from kind of the middle of August. Another indication that this was a scripted video that had potentially been recorded over a month ago. But even if it was scripted and recorded earlier, it still shows us that Bakaev is safe, right? I mean, he's in Germany after all, far away from the persecution of the Chechen government. Well, analyzing the room further, this point might not actually be true. Just looking at the room, many have noticed that its features are not consistent to a home in Germany.
Not consistent
The
to a home
ceiling,
anywhere.
air conditioning vent, wallpaper, and lighting design all don't seem to line up. As
Okay,
from a
those are
design
pretty specific.
perspective, you would be hard-pressed to find any interior like it in Germany, as it's typically never seen in European homes. And rather, this interior design most closely resembles a home from Chechnya. Along with this, both the chair and the couch shown in the footage are Russian-made. So between the bad acting and the seemingly off location, it's clear that something suspicious is going on here. A notion that may actually have been confirmed by an energy drink. In the clips, we see a bunch of drinks out on the table of where Bakaev is sitting, with one of them being a bottle of Drive M7 energy drink.
Yeah,
Now
never
this is
seen that before.
significant given the fact that this beverage isn't even sold in the German market. However, it's a common staple in Chechnya. A fact that
figure.
would later be confirmed by PepsiCo themselves. And many have also pointed out that the other drinks on the table are clearly not German as well. With this information coming out, it's all but been confirmed that these two videos that supposedly show a free man
Completely fake.
are completely fake. Now, making things even more suspicious, this video came out just 10 days after Bakaev's mother had publicly called out the Chechen president about her son's disappearance.
Wow.
An event that caused a minor media frenzy. With all this
Yeah,
said,
what happened to that
it
guy
seems
now?
highly likely
only
that
imagine.
Bakaev was forced into making these videos by Chechen authorities in order to calm the public's suspicion. And there's a disturbing note to consider if this is true. Remember when Bakaev said it's kind of the middle of August, despite the video being posted in late September? Well, maybe the video actually was filmed all the way back in mid-August, and authorities were holding on to it to release if suspicions ever got high.
Probably.
Which, as we know, at the time the videos were released, Bakaev's own mother was calling out the government and getting all the media involved. So by the time these videos were posted, there was a very likely chance that they were already a month old, which means that throughout that time, Bakaev was likely being beaten and tortured at a concentration camp where people supposedly didn't last very long. So when this channel was started and these two videos were released, it seems highly likely that Zelim Bakaev was already dead. It's clear that YouTube can be quite a disturbing platform at times, with many of its darkest
Especially with so many
channels
channels
hiding
being
behind
so
masks.
weird.
And I can only imagine how
that's
many
the
more
thing.
there are out there, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us to uncover. I want to give a special shout out to my gold tier patrons, as well as my god tier patrons, Eduardo, Lacey, Michelle Scaraccio, and Nathan Backus. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll leave a link down below to my Patreon if anyone else would like to join.
Definitely make sure you guys go and support this channel. He does a lot of awesome content. What kills me is that all of these dark channels are hidden under masks, like he said. Now, what I challenge you to do, if you made it this far into the video, go to your YouTube search, type a period into the search bar, and see what recommended results come up. That's what I found the other day. Still kind of looking into it, but let me know what you guys think. Definitely let me know what you thought about this video. I appreciate everybody who's made it this far in. Let me know where to go from here. We're definitely checking out YouTube's Darkest Channels number 3. That will be coming up, but if you guys want to check out any one of the other videos, we don't have to go in order or anything like that. I'll check out whatever you guys want to watch. So definitely put it in the Google form down in the description below. Hit us up on the Creator Consortium. Discord link is in the description as well. Definitely make sure you guys go show your support. Check out one of the other 2 videos floating around before you take off, and I'll catch you on the next one.